going to tie up a Hippie Stomper today, but not any Hippie Stomper. We're doing the little one, the Mini Hippie Stomper. This is an Andrew Grillos pattern. Grillos. I apologize. I think I've mispronounced that in the past. But he has a lot of really great flies out there, and the Mini Hippie Stomper is no exception. This is a cool little dry fly made up of foam. It's a great substitution or great utilized when you're fishing ants, beetles, all that kind of stuff. Also just a nice little attractor. So it comes in a lot of different color variations from Umpqua Feather Merchants. Today we're going to spin up a black variation. And we're doing that on a good old Umpqua hook. This is their X Series hook. The Stubby T, which is one of my new favorite hooks. They've only had this out for a couple of years now, but it's a great one. It has their V-lock bend there. You can see on the back end it's got kind of a unique bend to that gape, which makes it a lot stronger and also allows them to go with a bit of a wider gape on it while retaining that strength. We'll lock it in. It's a down eye. It's a extra strong wire, but that's all right for this dry fly because we're using some foam, so it'll still be nice and buoyant. Got a micro barb on it and a medium shank. So a cool little hook from Umpqua. And then we're going to start our UTC 70 black thread. The good old standby UTC 70 in black. And walk that back to where we're going to tie in the tail. And true to a lot of dry flies, we're using some moose for the tail. Today I have moose body hair. You could also use moose mane for this purpose. Either one does just fine. We'll clean a bit of that out, get some of that under fur out from under there, get rid of the broken ones that we might have, and then we're going to stack that and get all our tips aligned. And then we can figure out how long we want our tail to be. Right about that shank, maybe a little bit shorter. And go ahead and tie that in right on the back. Locking it down. And then we can work forward over the moose a little ways before trimming that out. And then we're going to walk on back and add some foam. And this will be the razor foam. So I'm using the 1-inch sheets of razor foam. They come in a pack. You get 2 in a pack, 2 1-inch, 2 0.5-inch. So a little bit of versatility there when you buy the razor foam. And I find that these sheets are perfect for these minis. I'm doing a size 12 today. And I can take 1 sheet across and turn that into 2. And that makes tying these real nice and easy, helps with consistency. We're going to cut ourselves a sliver off of there, right about the same size as that hook gape. You can go a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. And then I am going to cut it right in half because I don't need 2 of these. So now we got 2 sheets of foam, same size, ready to go in. And I'm going to take the first one and secure it on top and bind over it here. And then we'll do the same thing with the second sheet of material, match it up and tie it in. If you're doing a dual color, today I'm doing all black, but typically these are dual colors. I just like the all black for beetles. You would do your bottom color second. So the first color that you tie in is going to go over the top. That's going to end up being the top color. And then the material you tie in second, as you fold it over, that'll be your bottom color, your sort of belly color of the fly. We're just going to keep them married up nicely. Bind over all the foam, sort of smashing it down underneath. And then we're going to prepare to tie in our next material here. I'm going to work this transition slightly to make sure that's nice and even throughout as I wrap what'll be the flash of this fly, and I'm using some Krystal Flash today, and purple. Why not? Why not some purple Krystal Flash? Don't need a whole lot, just a few strands. 3 strands or so is enough to get you through. And you can even take, most of the time when I work with Krystal Flash, I'm sort of dividing it in the middle and doubling it over. Just depends on what I'm doing with it, I suppose. But we're gonna wrap it on this fly. So I'm gonna secure it on the side, walk forward. Again, sort of working on that transition a little bit. We're gonna leave ourselves quite a bit of room up front because we're gonna tie kind of where that starts to taper down. I'm gonna create a new base with some different material. So we gotta leave ourselves quite a bit of room there. Just past the halfway point or so is a good kind of base mark to end this material. So we're gonna wrap that forward. I'm gonna get around the point there and then maybe work the material back again to make sure that I'm covering everything up. And then we can just keep it together and walk forward. Krystal Flash gives you kind of a nice little underbody here. And then we can get our thread back in play and capture that material with some locking wraps here and clip out the extra. And then we're going to bring that foam right up over the top. And it turned on me a little bit, so I'm going to have to work with it and kind of maneuver it back. But basically I want to go right over the top, lock it down there, still plenty of working room. Do the same with the second piece of foam, right over the top, pulling forward. And then we're gonna position that foam straight out the front and kind of bite into it right up to that hook eye. So the rest of this fly is gonna be tied over the top of this foam right in that section there. So it takes a little bit of manipulation to get everything where you want it. And then checking underneath, we're gonna take it all the way back to where we stopped that flash. Just like so. And then on the front end, you can leave it sticking out kind of long for now. I always tend to trim it a little bit, and we can come back and trim that a little bit more if we need to at the end. But then we're going to prepare to tie in really what is just visibility of this fly more than anything. Maybe a little bit of a wing, some Antron yarn. So we got our white Antron yarn here. I'm just going to clip a little bit out. A full hank, you could split it in half if you want it to be a little bit more sparse. I'm going to tie it about that same distance back to where the tail ends on the back end. And then the front end will come back in and trim a little bit shorter. But I'm just going to go ahead and wrap over the top of that right on top. The entire length of that section that we created for ourselves. And then we can add in some legs. So these are some really cool legs from Wapsi. These are their barred round rubber legs. This is a black and silver combination, which is just a lot of fun and really matches up nicely to this bug overall. So what I'm going to do is tie those in. Sticking out the back a little ways, you can use that tail again as your measuring point, and then we'll trim them a little bit thereafter. But we'll do a couple of locking wraps right at the back end of where this section, tying section ends. And then we're going to walk over the front of it, forward, and kind of spread those legs out so that the front leg is coming off of that front end of the section of this tying section here. And then something I started doing recently that I never used to do, that I see a lot, that I think is kind of a helpful little trick. Instead of trimming the leg at this point, we're just going to bring it around the other side, leaving that loop sticking out of the front, and then I'll come in and capture it on the other side. You just have to keep in mind you need enough material on that loop so that your legs are the right length. But this saves a little bit of time and is a nice easy way to sort of secure in your legs on both sides. Then you can come out of the front and clip it, and those are nice and long. We'll come out of the back, clip that, and then we can clip those to size here. And I always like to, on this pattern, I like to work them forward and clip them evenly out of the front, and that gives me slightly longer legs on the back than on the front. So now we got one more material to add, maybe the piece de resistance of this fly, some good old Grizzly Hackle. And I have a cape here that's sort of in pieces, but still got a lot of good quality feathers on it. So I'm just gonna find the right gauge. You can just take a feather, bend it over the bottom and see how far those barbels come out. That's too small. Need to go a bit bigger. Try this one. There we are, and we want them to go at least to that hook point, maybe a little bit past that hook point. So that's about the right size for us. And then we'll prep our feather, just taking off some of the barbels. We'll clip it short, and then we can just peel some of those barbels back. A lot of people like to trim them short so that you have kind of a little bit of a grab end to hook into there. And then we'll tie that in right on top, perpendicular to the hook shank. I do 2 wraps over the top, front to back, and then I'm going to sneak 2 wraps back to front. That helps me stay at that angle a little bit. And then we can trim our tag end short and kind of come over and grab that down and pull it tight to the side of the hook and get it out of the way there a little bit. That'll help keep it from coming loose as well. And then just clean up our thread base a little bit here. I'm going to trim the front end of this wing short, just above where that head is. And then wrap our hackle forward. So we'll do a full wrap right on the back, and then touching wraps throughout this whole section. One more there. Making sure I stay tight. That one went a little loose on me, but I think we're all right. And then I can come up and over, capture that hackle, clip out the extra, and then we're going to sneak underneath here. So sort of pushing this head back just a little bit, use my fingernail, sneak right behind that hook eye, and then give it a couple of whip finishes down underneath. It helps keep that foam head sort of up and out of the way. It'll make it easier to thread this fly by having some thread wraps there in between the two. And gives a nice clean finishing look to it. So now we can come in, you can trim your head a little bit. That's about the right size for me on the head. Maybe pull out some of these Rogue Antron fibers, clip out some of the Rogue Hackle fibers. And again, this is the mini size of the Hippie Stomper. I fished the big one for a long time. The mini one's only been out for a couple years now, but I think it was a great idea from Andrew. Just a cool little bug. The other thing he does do on this is trims the hackle on the bottom side. And a lot of times I'll end up leaving it long until I get out on the river. So really for me, the consideration is if you leave your hackle fibers long, the idea is this fly is going to ride on the surface and hopefully sit up on those hackle fibers, right? Keep it nice and high and riding dry. If you want it to ride a little bit lower, which commercially, this must be how Andrew designed it, is he'll trim all these underneath like this. And that just helps it ride a little bit lower and closer to the surface. So again, something you can do if you want to leave it long, you can always make an adjustment on the water. If you got some nippers or some scissors with you, and then clip it off and it'll help it ride a little bit lower. That might be the difference, that, you know, the pattern will have a different presentation, that might be what it takes to get the fish to really trigger on it. So again, that's the Mini Hippie Stomper. We did an all black combo today. You can tie it up in purple and black, red and black. You can do tans and yellows, a whole different world of opportunities there. But really a great little bug. It's sort of a mini-sized hopper for a hopper dropper rig. So it's a good one on smaller creeks and stuff like that. High alpine, you can hang a little midge or a smaller bead head off of this fly and just really have a killer day. So thanks so much for watching. Hope this helped you tie up the Mini Stomper, Mini Hippie Stomper. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. We always appreciate that. Leave us a comment below and check out all the other tying videos. And of course, the links to the products are in the description below on this video and all the other ones that we tied, so that you can tie up a bug just like this one based on the recipe that we had put together for you. So thanks so much for watching. Have fun tying.